Metal Gear Solid 1 is arguably one of the most influential games on the original PlayStation and in general for the whole medium. It is no wonder then that it spawned numerous sequels, prequels and tribute fan games, among which one that certainly caught my eye is Covert Critter. Why? Well, because it is a tribute to the original MGS, and it even replicates its 32-bit visual style, but with a twist. It replaces all humans with animals. Yes, isn't that adorable? So, elation and jubilation, gamers from all around the world. I am Lucian and this is the World Gamer Show. And today we're going to talk about Covert Critter. Is this the ultimate Metal Gear tribute? Or would you better sneak past this one? Well, let's find out. Made in just 12 days by Soda Raptor and Normal Human 6 and released for free on PC, Windows and Linux, Covert Critter is a game that is still in development and they really call it just a demo, but it really feels like a short, full game, complete with 8 stages, each one looking completely different. Since the game is very short, basically beatable under an hour, I guess the developers didn't want to fall on the same trap as Ground Zeroes. But, you know, that wasn't released exactly for free. This one totally is. So let's check what Covert Critter has to offer. Just like MGS1, Covert Critter is a stealth game in which it is imperative for our protagonist Cos to avoid being seen by the enemies. Your objective is to reach the end of the level, and to aid you in your journey, you have your trustworthy radar, which shows the enemy and their view field, and a ton of items and gadgets, perfect to distract and stun them. There is also a nice drone, which reminds me a lot of the Nikita missiles in the original MGS. In fact, everything reminds me of the original MGS, starting with the protagonist, Cos, who wears the exact same outfit as Solid Snake, but seeing them worn by a gecko is hilarious. And look how self-confident he is. Also kudos to the developers for not taking the obvious route and make the protagonist a literal snake. The choice of the gecko as main character also plays extremely well with the original mechanic of this game. Its exceptional camouflage skill, or rather the chance to become invisible to the enemy's eyes when leaning towards walls. Even though this kinda breaks the game, as it makes it almost too easy. Speaking of wall leaning, the developers even cleverly maintain the camera movement once you reach the edge of a wall that allows you to peek beyond the corner while staying hidden. Considering there is not a first-person view in this game, this is a godsend. The other thing that obviously will remind you a lot of MGS1 are the environment's assets, which, to be honest, seem to be taken straight from MGS1. Not sure if that's the case, I would be inclined to think it's not, but the similarity is astonishing, and I love it. It feels like 1998 all over again. And the soundtrack that accompanies the levels is so very well done, moody, unsettling, and hugely contributes on keeping you on the edge of your seat. Now, so far there was a lot of praise, but it isn't all sunshine and rainbow. But take all of the following with a grain of salt, because in the end this is a free game made in 12 days. So I wish that the controls were customizable, because they kind of seem all over the place. For example, you crouch with the right mouse button and use an item with the left one, but aside from that you don't use the mouse at all during gameplay, not even for selecting the items. You only use it for navigating the main menus, but that aside, the controls aren't that bad, but I usually customize them on PC, so I definitely miss this option. The game is also overall admittedly very rough around the edges. In a level the performance was terrible and the frame rate dropped significantly throughout that stage. Very weird, considering that it was otherwise pretty solid. No pun intended. Especially because the game itself isn't demanding at all. Also, your character will probably get stuck with other enemies at some point, and some interpolations can cause you to partially go out of the boundaries. Also, the AI is basic, to say the least. They have their routines, but if you get spot, you won't be chased after, and enemies won't call for reinforcement, because there isn't really any alert status. Even the surveillance cameras that are present are just equipped with guns and won't again cause any alert status. The levels get more labyrinthine as the game goes, with the quest for the next key to open the next door that will be your main focus. One cool mechanic that is actually not present in MGS1 is that here some of the keycards must be stolen from the enemies themselves. This means that you will need to crawl or crouch move close to them and then press a button to do the stealing. And that's actually pretty nice because this game has something actually different than its source material going for it. To spice things up, sometimes you will be deprived of your trusty radar and you will have to resort to leaning from walls to move the camera around, as you don't really have full control of the camera, just like the first MGS. But then again, the guards are pretty dumb and you have a pretty large life bar, so the game is very permissive, especially with the invisibility skill. On a delightful note, the game is full of Easter eggs and small references, one of which actually impacts the gameplay, with the night vision goggles that are basically required to pass through some dark portions of the stage, which are taken straight from Splinter Cell, which is the next best thing after Metal Gear Solid if you ask me. It is just a pity that all goes out too quickly, and the 8 levels will last roughly a half hour to an hour overall. But man, this is the definition of short but sweet. Overall, it is clear why the developers call this a demo. It is a tech demo indeed, but with the flavor of a full indie production, or at least I can see its infinite potential as such. As it is a fantastic trip down the memory lane which sent me shivers down my spine, and I definitely want more. I want a full game with more missions, like 100 maybe, even reusing the same assets for some levels, but hopefully differentiating them to make sure that Konami doesn't take this down for copyright infringement. And yet, wouldn't it be wonderful if this could actually get Konami's approval as an official MGS1 tribute game? Maybe Konami could go the Sonic Mania route and even distribute it themselves. Well, one can dream. Again, it has happened in the past. Another example is Street Fighter Cross Mega Man, which started as a fan game, but that got eventually endorsed by Capcom. I could see this playing perfectly on today's consoles as well, especially on the Nintendo Switch, perfect for its portable nature. After all, if the developers managed to build all this in 12 days, they surely can do more with appropriate resources, budget and time. So yeah, count me satisfied, especially because I firmly believe that we need more new indie games with 32-bit aesthetic. And I think we will get them, same as we got all the 2D graphics throwback in the past decade. And games like this Covert Critter will certainly contribute to this renaissance. But this is just one guy's opinion on the internet, and now I want to know yours down in the comment section. What do you think of this game? Will you try it out? Maybe you already did, and if so, what did you make of it? In case you couldn't tell, I loved it, and I wanted to do my part in sharing this little gem around as much as possible. So if you like this video and the game, feel free to share it around yourself. I do believe that this project can become so much more with our help. So if I got you curious, feel free to check the link in the description to download this game for free and try it for yourself. And if you like 32-bit graphic style games, you should check out my good buddy George over at Gaming My Whole Life, as he's a big fan of this retro style of gaming and he's already covered many retro indie games, including some with 32-bit graphics. And if you like Metal Gear Solid, I've already covered the series on my channel, so feel free to join the family and subscribe. Well, that will do it for today, folks. I just want to thank you again for spending some of your precious time watching my video. I will be seeing you in my next one, but until then, stay safe, play safe, world gamers.